Evening, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Welcome to MSBS Dhamma Sharing Online. Today is Monday, 3rd August 2020. We have with us tonight Didi Leng Huat to share on Maha Mangala Sutta, chanting and explanation. This program is jointly organized by Mahasatipatthana Buddhist Society, Dhammacakka Buddhist Vihara, Mudita Buddhist Society, and supported by Theravada Buddhist Council of Malaysia. Over to you, Didi Leng Huat.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Good evening, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. So to begin with our short sharing tonight for 1 hour, let us recite Namo Tassa as shown on the screen. And okay, let's recite together now. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang pujemi, dhammang pujemi, sanghang pujemi. Sadhu, sadhu. Sadhu. Okay, what we will do tonight is, I'm thinking I will recite the Maha Mangala Sutta in full, then we will go back to this page and I will do the sharing on page 1 for tonight. I will cover probably 2 pages tonight. So let's compose ourselves. And let's chant together the Maha Mangala Sutta. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Evang me sutang ekang samayang bhagava savatiyang viharati jetavane anatha pindikasa arame atako anyatara devata abhikantaya rattiya abhikantavanna kevala pang jetavanang ovasetva yena bhagavate upasangkami tva bhagavantang abhivadet tva ekamantang attasi. Ekamantang titako sa devata bhagavantang gataya ajavasi. Bahudeva manusacha mangalani acintayung akan kemana tanang bruhi mangala muttamang asevana cha balanang panditanang cha sevana Puja cha pujaniyanang etang mangalamuttamang patirupa desa vaso cha pubbe cha kata punyata Ata samma panidhicha etang mangalamuttamang Bahu satchancha sippancha vinayo cha susikito subhasita cha ya vacha etang mangalamuttamang Mata pitu upattanang putta dharasa sanggaho Anakula ca kammanta etang mangalamuttamang Danan ca dhammacariya ca nyatakanan ca sanggaho Anavajjani kammani etang mangalamuttamang Arati virati papa majjapana ca sanyamo appamado ca dhammesu etang mangalamuttamang Garavo ca nivato ca santutti ca katanyuta Kalena dhamma savanang etang mangalamuttamang Kanti ca sovacasata samananang ca dasanang Kalena dhamma sakacca etang mangalamuttamang Tapo ca brahmacariyan ca arya satcana dasanang Nibbana saccikiriya ca etang mangalamuttamang Puttasa loka dhammehi cittang yasana kampati Asokang virajang kemang etang mangalamuttamang Etadisani katwana sabbatta maparajita sabbatta sotting gaccanti tang tesang mangalamuttamang Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, it's nice to meet you again this week. There are some requests for me to come back and choose, so I was thinking I'll just maintain and we will learn all the popular suttas better. The suttas that we chant regularly, I think we should try to chant in unison together and also to understand the meaning. It becomes more joyous when you chant with understanding of the meaning. So for stanza number 1, you refer to the stanza number 1, Evang me sutang. That one you probably I will explain to you later. For those people who are not familiar with Venerable Ananda, Evang me sutang means thus I have heard. This is from Venerable Ananda. Ekang samayang bhagava savatyang viharati jetavane anata pindikas arame. Okay. In that stanza, I would like to introduce to you our Mr. Anatha Pindika. He's a very popular figure. So maybe I will just introduce you to another, to two personalities here. The third personality, of course, is Venerable Ananda, which I think when no names are mentioned later in some suttas, then maybe I will introduce you to him. So tonight we will be introduced to Anatta Pindika. Anatta Pindika. Before that, let me tell you why I chose to share in Mangala Sutta tonight. You see, in Buddhism, we realize that before the Mahaparinibbana of the Buddha, Mara was actually pestering him when he wants to go for his Mahaparinibbana, you know. So Venerable says, the Buddha says that Buddha will not leave the world until he has established the 4 pillars. The 4 pillars. When the 4 pillars of Buddhism is well established, then it is time for him to go. Then that's why now we have the 4 pillars of Buddhism. We have got, I'm sure many of you will know what are the 4 pillars of Buddhism. Maybe some are not familiar. The first is, we say, is the first pillar is the bhikkhus, the monks. The monks are the first pillar. And the second pillar is the bhikkhunis, the nuns. And the third pillar, we have the upasaka, that is the lay people, the men lay people. So we are called the upasakas. And the 4th pillar is called the upasikas, the lady lay followers. Now, these 4 pillars are like the 4 legs of a table. Betul? We remove one leg, the whole table tumbang. So these 4 must be intact all the time. Without one, like I said, these are the 4, like a table with 4 legs. You remove one leg, it will collapse. So removing any of this, meaning to say that Buddhism will collapse. So equally as important are all these 4 pillars in Buddhism. The bhikkhus, the bhikkhunis, the upasakas, and the upasikas. Okay? Now, what are the role of these 4 pillars? Okay, for the bhikkhus and the bhikkhunis, we know, generally you want to know further about their role. I think it's best we approach them and hear it from them directly. Basically, I think they will devote their time for the spiritual development. And what is the main role of us now? We have our main role also. The upasakas and upasikas, we have our role. What is our role? Our role is to support them. Support the bhikkhus so that they can continue with the spiritual development. Now, these 4 pillars are important again. Why? Because without these 4 pillars, then the Dhamma, the doctrine of the Buddha becomes meaningless. Then the doctrine of the Dhamma, for nobody to practice, nobody to benefit, and for Dhamma to transform these people. If there are nobody to practice, nobody to learn, nobody to teach, then the Dhamma becomes a set of doctrine which is of no value except that you remain in the library. So that is why these 4 pillars are important, so that we make the Dhamma vibrant. We practice the Dhamma, we make it vibrant, and that Dhamma transform us. And that is the main purpose. That's why we are here. And like I've said, all 4 are equally as important. We cannot say that they are important, you are more important, I'm more important. No. I think all 4 are equally as important. Now, why? Because we say that removing one pillar, the whole thing will collapse. So like I've said, for the bhikkhus and the bhikkhunis, their role, I think we leave it to the ordained people. Let them explain to us one day what is their role. Now, what is our role? I think that is more important. I chose Maha Mangala Sutta because I want to stress on our role as lay people. What is our role? As lay people, like I've said, our role is very equally as important because we must support the sasana. Okay. Now, question number 2 is how do we become a lay follower? And these are something that some people may not be aware, but I will just introduce Buddhism to you all for those of you who are just following it for the first time. So how do we become a lay follower is we take refuge in the Buddha. We take refuge in the Buddha means every time we go for service, we say Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Sanghang Saranang Gacchami, and we say Dutiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, and we say Tatiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. When we have taken the refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, we repeat 3 times, we are lay followers. So we become one of the pillars of Buddhism. But becoming a lay follower only no point. We must become good lay followers, correct? So your next question is, how do we become devout or good lay followers? By observing the 5 precepts. So that is why we recite Panatipata Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami, with meaning to say that we take this precept to abstain from killing. We take this, then we also say Adina Dana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. We take this precept to abstain from stealing. Then we say Musavada Kamesu. Then we say that we abstain from sexual misconduct. Then we say Musavada, meaning to say that we take this precept to abstain from false speech, from lying, from harsh speech. And then we say that Sura Meraya Majja Pamaditana, that means we say that we are taking this precept to abstain from drinking or taking intoxicating drugs and liquor. Okay? So when we have observed the 5 precepts, we become good lay followers. Okay? So now we are all good lay followers because every time we go to the service, we go for temple, we will recite, we will take refuge in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, we will recite the 5 precepts. And that makes us a good lay followers. Okay? So that is why I want to stress on this verse for us to understand what is our role. So like I've said, now I want to introduce to you this gentleman called Anathapindika. Anathapindika, he is a main patron of the Buddha Sangha. Main patron. Even when he was young, he got this title actually. His original name was Sudatta. Sudatta. But even when he was young, he was a very generous boy, Even when he was young, he was very generous. He was very generous. Whatever ornaments, because he comes from a rich family. Whatever ornaments that he has, whatever he has, every time when somebody asks him, he gives. He gives. So he is so generous that people gave him this honorific title of Anathapindika. But his name is actually not Anathapindika, his original name was Sudatta. Sudatta. So they gave him the title. That is the title given to him for being a very generous person who's helping the helpless. People who are helpless, he helps. Anatha are the helpless people, and Pinda is one who gives alms. So he's called Anathapindika. Anathapindika. Okay? Okay, so that means that, okay, so he was a very generous person. And how did he meet the Buddha? You see, because he was a businessman. He travels a bit here and there. So one day he went to the village and he stayed with his brother-in-law. He stayed with his brother-in-law. And he found that night, they're all very busy one, Everybody was so busy preparing something as though there is a big wedding going on tomorrow. So he was very curious. Normally when he comes to the place, and they will take care of him, They will take very good care of him because he is the big taiko, my brother-in-law, my rich man. He was philanthropist, multi-millionaire. But then he noticed that everybody was so busy, Everybody was busy in the kitchen doing things. He was also feeling very funny, So he asked his brother, why are you also busy tonight? Then the brother said, we are preparing Dhana for the Buddha tomorrow. He didn't believe, he asked again, who is coming for Dhana? He said, the Buddha. Who is coming for Dhana again? This is the Buddha. So he was very surprised, That was the first time when he heard about the Buddha. And so he was very excited. That night he couldn't sleep. That night he couldn't sleep very well. So he kalang kabut, he couldn't sleep that night. Wow, every night he got up and thought it was morning already, but still not morning yet. So eventually at about 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, he got up and things are so dark. He couldn't wait any longer. So he kanchiong already lah. He must go and see the Buddha. He wants to meet the Buddha. So he walked through the jungle to meet the Buddha. Of course, the jungle was dark, but then the Devas knew that he was a very good man. Now the story goes that the Devas knew he was a very good man. So they made the roads bright for him so he could walk, and he reached to the place where the Buddha was staying. Where was the Buddha staying then? They do not have any monastery yet that time. They were staying in caves or under the trees or under the big roots, things like that. So when the minute he arrived, the Buddha says, Sudatta, you are here. So he was very surprised. How did the Buddha know his original name, you know? How did the Buddha know his personal name? Because normally everybody calls him Anathapindika, but the Buddha addressed him with his personal name. Say, Sudatta, you are here, come. So he was very surprised. So he knew of the Buddha's power, in short. So then he met the Buddha, and then the Buddha spoke to him and taught him some basic dhamma there, you know, while pacing up and down, you know, told him some basic dhamma, and he became a Sotapanna, you know, he became a Sotapanna. Then after that, of course, the Buddha came for Dhana. Then he was very excited, and he invited the Buddha to his town, okay, Esavati, to his town for Dhana, to go to his house for Dhana. So the Buddha accepted. So he was very excited. And then he also told the Buddha he should be staying there. You know? So the Buddha says yes. The Buddha was keen actually to also find a place to set up a monastery there. So Buddha says, yes, I would like to stay there. But provided this place, you see, the Buddha is a very compassionate person. He doesn't want to impose much on us, you know. So he says you find a place that's not too far from town and not too near, because the too near town, all the noise, all the hustle and bustle of the city noises will disrupt their practice. So then another Pindika said, okay, I'll look a place for you lah. So then another Pindika went back first before the Buddha came. He went back and he saw this place called the Bamboo Grove, isn't it? He saw this beautiful garden, you know, beautiful garden. So he thought that this would be the best place for the Buddha. So he chose that place. He said, I will buy this place. But that place belongs to the prince. And the second gentleman tonight I will introduce to you is called Jeta. Jeta, he was a prince. He owns a place. So he says, he told the Buddha, I will not sell to you even if you fill up the whole garden with gold coins. You can fill it up with gold coins, I still will not sell to you. Then another Pindika took it as a challenge lah. I will fill up with coins lah. You sell to me, correct? So then they had an argument. The prince will not want to sell, but he says you told me what? You say if I can fill it with gold coins, but he says I said I won't sell. Okay, so they went for arbitration. So after the arbitrator says yes, the prince, you are wrong. If you have given a challenge, you should sell lah. If you can fill it up with coins with gold coins So the prince said, okay, fine, you fill it up lah. So then the Buddha, then another Pindika got all his servants to bring all the gold coins and they fill up every piece by piece, the whole garden with gold coins. But short of the entrance only lah, short of one small space. Then he told his servant, go back and take some more and fill it up. But then there was when the Prince Jeta says, no, enough. This piece I will donate. He said, because I also want to contribute to the Buddha. So he said, this piece I give. Okay? Then he built a big arch, beautiful place to protect the whole garden. So the prince also contributed. So that's why that place is called Jeta Vana Anatha Pindikasa Arame. That means Jeta's Grove, Anatha Pindika's monastery. So it was named after two persons. Okay? It is Jeta and also Anatha Pindika. Alright, so I've introduced two persons to you today. Okay, for this sutta we will skip Ananda. Ananda, next sutta we will talk about him. Okay, so now he has spent a lot of money. Total he spent about 18 million gold coins. 18 million. 18 million. He has filled it up and everything done. He spent another 18 million to build up the monastery. Don't forget. So he spent another 18 million to build up the monastery, and the monastery was ready. And of course, now they're going to have the opening ceremony lah. Sudah siap semua, sudah cantik, apa lagi mau. So they had the opening ceremony. Then they invited a lot of monks and the villagers, all. It was a very big occasion, you know. It was recorded that he spent another 18 million gold coins. Okay. Okay, on record, he spent now 18 million times 3. That means he has spent. I'm demonstrating how illustrious his life was, because I'm coming again slowly. So now he has spent actually a total of 54 million gold coins. Then after that, there was a flood. Flood, and the flood washed away 18 million of his gold coins also. Okay? And then his friends also know that he's very kind. They all borrowed money from him. They all borrowed. Another 18 million he lent his friends. So his money almost finished. He lent to his friends. Then the flood came. Another 18 million gone. His last 18 million washed away by the flood. So then he became poor. So he became quite poor. Not completely tara duit but quite poor you know. So one day he visited the Buddha. The Buddha asked him this question: Are you still giving dana or not? You know, because knowing that he has already become a poor man now. He says, yes, I still give. You know, he says, but I only give now chincai a bit simple food You know, I give only those coarse broken rice. I will boil into porridge, and then we will give them a bit of pickles you know, pickles for flavor you know. So the dana now became more simple because he became poor, you know. So he was very sad also He also paiseh Ayo, now dana also sudah kurang lebih Then he was telling the Buddha no, now my dana is more simple the simple porridge and a bit of pickles for them you know. And the Buddha says, you don't say it's simple. He says, you know, simple or big or very elaborate is the same. It depends on how you give. Okay? So the second lesson here we learn is how to offer dana. Not because you want to offer lavishly or elaborate dana and you think, oh, I've done a good job. No. The Buddha says no. You see, the Buddha also told a story, you know, last time, because you see, when another Pindika was giving dana, King Pasenadi, the father of Jeta, father of Prince Jeta, he saw, you know, he said, hey, what are you doing? Every day give dana to the venerable monks, you know, and the Buddha, I also want to give. So he ordered his palace to prepare lavish food, of course, king, to very lavish food and give to the monks, you know. Then one day he was walking towards, he was trying to visit another Pindika. I was walking, and he saw all the monks to beg the food, you know. So he was very surprised. So he asked him, why are you returning the food? So the Buddha was relating the story to another Pindika. Because they did not give it like a gentleman, you know. You see, these servants, they do it as a job, you know. Correct. The king say you give, so they just cook, and then they just go there and just give, you know, with no respect. So then that is not the way to give. That's why the monks return. Like you give as though you are not happy. You give as though you despise the person. You see, there are many times, you know, we also give dana that way. Not to monks. Sometimes we get those beggars that come, they harass you, ask you sometimes, you just want to get rid of him, just take, go away, you know. So that kind of attitude is not good. So the Buddha returned, all the monks returned, because they felt that they was wrongly given. It's not the way to give dana. So that's what the Buddha says. It is not how elaborate your dana is, it is how you offer. As long as you offer with your own hands, with correct thoughts, you know, your thoughts must be right that you're giving this because you want to assist the monks. And you're giving to the monks because you want them to continue with their spiritual practice. And that is the attitude. And with that attitude, your merits are plentiful. Not because you want to give a very elaborate dana, you know, that's not true. That will come to another of your passage that is about dana later. But I'm telling you the story, how it covers. So then the Buddha also told me another story, you know, a story of whereby there is another man, another rich man. There was many eons ago, you know, whereby he gave a lot of dana, you know. Velama Sutta. In the Velama Sutta, the gentleman called Velama, he's also very rich. So the Buddha says he gives dana means, wow, you see, he bring his, you see, he's so generous that his tray is made of silver, filled up with gold, you know, and there'll be 84,000 trays, you know, and also 84,000 trays, golden tray filled with silver. Then he will have another 84,000 trays made out of bronze, filled with jewels, you know, and then you'll give 84,000 those elephants all decorated with all this kind of, you know, things. Then he'll give 84,000 milking cow, 84,000 everything, you know. The Buddha says, yes, he gave everything. But unfortunately, he did not give the right person. Correct? But there was not a single wise man there to have the dana. So it's very important when we give dana also, we must give to the correct person. So the Buddha says that even if you give, if there's one wise man there, a Sotapanna there, it's better than giving to 100 people. And even if there is one other Sotapanna, if there's one non-returner there, you give to him, it is still better. Correct? And also the Buddha says, you know, even if you give to okay, we'll go to one's returner after that, then the non-returner, Anagami also better than the the one's returner. But if you give to an Arahant, it is still better than 100 non-returner. But if you give to the Buddha, of course it is still better lah. Correct? And what can be better than giving to the Buddha is to give to the Buddha with the entourage of monks. When there are a lot of Sangha members, and that is still superior. And what is above that? There's still something above that, no? You don't be surprised, you know. So the Buddha says that is still not the ultimate. What is still the best? Is to observe your 5 precepts. Okay? The Buddha says if you can observe your 5 precepts, that is even better than even you give dana to the whole society of Sangha with the Buddha there. Okay? And that is important, the Buddha says. And again, the Buddha says, what is more important than the 5 precepts? The Buddha says at least you can contemplate on the perception of impermanence. If we can concentrate on that perception, that impermanence, that is ultimate. Bigger than even you offer dana to all these things. Even to offer dana to the Buddha, he says. Okay? So that was another lesson we learned when the Buddha taught that to Anathapindika. Okay? So Anathapindika had that lesson. So he told him that not true, so it is how you give, and your thoughts must be careful, your thoughts must be clear, and you must observe the 5 precepts and all that. So I will explain to you. So that sutta is called the Velama Sutta. Velama Sutta, where the Buddha taught that concept to Anathapindika. Now, Anathapindika was poor. Another lesson we have to learn here is maybe a little bit of the law of karma, maybe. Okay. So we continue the journey now. So after we learn this on how to offer dana, now Anathapindika was poor, we said. But in his house, the book says that his house is a 6-story building, you know. He has got 6 floors above him. And on the top floor, there's a deity staying there. You know? There's a deity staying there. So each time the Buddha come and give dana, this poor deity has to come down, you know, but he cannot be residing above the Buddha. So he must still come down in the same ground level with the Buddha and hide somewhere or greet the Buddha. So this deity was there. And he find it very inconvenient. Every time the Buddha comes, he has to run down, you know, 6th floor to be there. So one day, he says that you all should stop giving. So he told us, he went to see the servants of Anathapindika. He said, you all don't cook dana anymore for Buddha and all the monks. Why you want to cook? But of course, the servants won't listen to him. They continue cooking. So then what they did was, this deity went to see Anathapindika's wife, you know, and told her, so, hey, you please stop your people from cooking now. What's for your cook, you know? But of course, she also won't listen. So they continue offering dana to the Buddha. Finally, this deity, dia banyak jahat juga lah. You know what he did was, he went to see Anathapindika. He told him, hey, you stop giving lah. Why you want to give dana so much? So Anathapindika was very angry, you know. He was very angry. He said, okay, you should not be residing in my house actually. So he chased him out, chased him out of this house. So this poor deity has to go out. And then the book says that deities have their rules, once you're chased out of the house, you become homeless, So you must see the chief deity who controls Savatthi and say that please assign me to another home lah. People chase me out already, please assign me to another home. But the chief deity of Savatthi cannot do that also. He says, I cannot. You will see the four kings. Maybe they can help you. So this again, he went to see the four kings. The four kings said, no way we can help you also. But this is a very serious problem. You chase out of the house is a very serious problem. This is their law, law of, this is the deity's law. They also have their own kind of setup. So he was chased out. You will follow the story, So after that, he was chased out. The four kings advised him to go and see Lord Saka. That is Tigong, right? He said, you will see Lord Saka can help you. Maybe he will assign you to a place, but we cannot. This is beyond our power. So this deity, poor deity, went to see Lord Saka. The Lord Saka told him, Lord Saka scolded him, you were very unfair. You stayed in Anatha Pindika's house, which was so luxurious and so nice, and the man is so kind, and you going to create all this problem, What for, he says. So Lord Saka reprimanded him, Then eventually Lord Saka said, never mind. I will forgive you. Two conditions. You go and find the lost gold for another Pindika again. Okay? The gold was washed during the flood into the sea. You go and find that 18,000 pieces of gold. One. Second, make all his friends who utang him so much of money, utang him a total of 18 million to pay back. Then I forgive you. Then I assign you a home. So this deity felt very remorse after that. He felt very bad, that he was being unfair to another Pindika, So he quickly went, he dived into the sea, he took back all the gold for another Pindika. And then he made all the people who owe another Pindika, they dreamt of him, they dreamt of the deity telling them, you better pay him back, So they all stuck so they all paid him back. So another Pindika got back some money, and eventually he invested, became rich again. So he didn't die poor. Our house, So that is another part. Maybe you can say that it is because he was generous, and Lord Saka loved generous people. So they helped him. Okay? Okay, so after that, let me see what else we can. But it is very, very illustrious, which will cover a lot of the Mangala Sutta later. Later, when we touch on the subject of Mangala Sutta, we can revisit this point. We can elaborate further. But now I'll just continue with the story for you. Okay? So after that, now he has a son. His son also enjoy kaki also lah. They don't enjoy kaki. His son was not a bad boy. But his son didn't want to go and learn the Dhamma. So another Pindika told him, no, okay, he gave him 1,000 pieces of gold coins and telling him that every Upo Saturday, every full moon day, spend time in the house. He thought we don't see you at all. So he was very happy. 1,000 pieces of gold, spend time in the house. So that happened. Every full moon day, he comes and spend time with the father. Nothing happened. So the father says, okay, the father told him, okay, I'll give you another 1,000 now. Another 1,000 pieces of gold if you visit the Buddha. When you visit the Buddha and learn one Dhamma only, learn something, okay? And come back and tell me, that's all. Simple. Just go to the Buddha recites something, you listen, come back and tell me 1,000 pieces of gold again. So the son said, okay, good job, easy job. But so son went, when you see the Buddha, then the Buddha knew, the Buddha knew of Anatha Pindika's intention. So what he did, he made his stanza very complicated for the son to understand. So the son could not understand, So the son had to stay longer there. When he could not understand me, he spent longer time there. So he spent a lot of time, and the Buddha repeated, but until he realized, and then he also became Sotapanna. So he also became a very good devotee. He also became, and he is known as Little Anatha Pindika. He also became the young Anatha Pindika. So you got two Anatha Pindika now. So it was very good also. So that's how he trained his his son. His son has a wife, don't forget. And the son's wife also very, very busy every day. Very fierce lady, screaming every day, scolding people every day, So very fierce lady also. So what happened is, one day the Buddha came for Dhana, and then the Buddha heard the lady screaming, and the Buddha said, who was that? Then another Pindika said, that is my daughter-in-law. There's nothing I can do. She's like that. So the Buddha says, okay, never mind, you call her to see me. And then she came to see the Buddha, and that's where the Buddha taught her about the 7 kinds of wife. There's another sutta that's called the 7 kinds of wife. Wife who's a tyrant, wife who's a thief, wife. Well, so there are 7 kinds of wife. So eventually, she also became a very good wife. And they're all transformed. So that is why I tell you that it's very important to have the 4 pillars so that the Dhamma can transform us. Otherwise, the Dhamma has no meaning. Otherwise, the Dhamma has no meaning at all. The Dhamma becomes a set of doctrines that sits in the library. So we are equally as important. So between us and the ordained people, we all have different start in life. We understand, we do it. While they try to improve on their spirituality, upgrade their spirituality, we learn to upgrade our morality. We practice our morality. They do their spirituality. We all have different start, but I'm sure we will meet one day at the same junction that will lead us to the same road that will lead us to liberation. We have different start. All 4 of us have different start, but I am very sure we will meet at the junction of a road that will lead us to liberation. And that road is called the Magga. And that road is the path. Okay? And that road is the Eightfold Path. We will eventually be there. So let us realize that we are equally as important. We are also a very important member, pillar of Buddhism. The lay people are equally as important. We have a different start, but with the same aim, and eventually we will all meet at the same road that will lead us to liberation. Okay, so we have told you a very long story today. I've told you a very long story today. Like I said, the introduction is very long because later on, all the lessons we learn, we can correlate to this Anatta Pindika, illustrious life. So the first thing, so now we go to the stanza number 2 and 3. Isn't it? So we will go to stanza number 2 and 3, whereby the Devas came down, the Devas came down because, you see, it is called the highest blessing because in those days, I think time is running short. But I don't want to cut short also. We will take our time because what happened was in those days, there were many people. They have all kinds of practices, many argument also, And then some people pantang lah. Many you all Chinese pantang lah. If we see a monk in the morning, some Chinese businessmen those days, they don't like, See monk in the morning only, they don't like. Why? Because the monk will talk about what? Emptiness. Right not? Emptiness, what emptiness masih kosong today. So they don't like. Correct not? So people have that kind of ideas lah. They don't like. And then some people think that by doing this sacrifice is very good. So they buy Qigong every day. Qigong, please bless me. I offer this means it's good blessing. And another person will say, I offer this for another kind of blessing. So all kinds of blessings. So all the devas up there with Qigong, all kepala pening also lah. What is good for the people, they say. They don't know. What is it that is good for the people as blessings? One person say he wants to have a lot of music at home. One person say he wants to have a lot of food at home. One person say he wants to have a lot of things that smell, a nice garden with nice flowers, all kinds of things. People think those are blessings, to satisfy the 5 senses. You know, whatever can satisfy our our sensual pleasures, we think that's blessing. And that is basically the ideas we have. So now the Devas are also confused, you know. So for the human period of 16 years, they were all confused. They do not know what is the highest blessing. Apa bagus untuk ini manusia ni? Hari-hari sembahyang sama saya, apa dia mau tak tahu. Tak tahu apa dia mau. Ini satu orang mau itu, dia mau itu, dia mau itu. We do not know, you know. So they went to see Tingkong. Tingkong, what is actually good for them? Tingkong said, you better go down and visit the Buddha. Ask the Buddha what is actually the highest blessing. So they start off like that. This is our introduction to the Maha Mangala Sutta. So the Devas came down one day to visit the Buddha. And you know, when they come down, the whole place becomes very bright. You know? The Buddhas are all very bright creatures, you know. So whole place became very bright. The whole of Malacca town became very bright. They arrived, and then they went to see the Buddha and asked him, can you tell us, is the Buddha, what is the highest blessing? So the stanza here is Bahu Deva Manusacha Mangalani Achintayung Akan Kemana Sottanang Bruhi Mangala Muttama. So, okay, the first one, we will remember the word, we catch the word Anatha Pindikasa Arame. We know that this is a very good man. This is the first monastery of the Buddha. And the Buddha made him the main patron of the Sangha. So the word we have to remember, we are not Pali scholars, but we have to remember when we recite, we hear Jetavane Anatha Pindikasa Arame. We know that okay, this is in the first monastery of the Buddha, donated by Anatha Pindika, and also the land partly donated by Prince Jeta. Okay, so we know that. So then after that we'll go to the stanza number 3. I think we go to the next page. Okay. Bahu Deva. Okay, the second stanza of that page lah. The rest are all formality lah. When the Devas come down to see the Buddha, they always keep to one side. All those things I think we can read. Okay, so the second stanza here, he says Bahu Deva Manusacha Mangalani Achintayung Akan Kemana Sottanang Bruhi Mangala Muttamang. So they came down and they asked the Buddha, please tell me what is the supreme blessing. Then the Buddha told them, okay, now we go to the first blessing that there are 38 blessings altogether. So the first blessing here, the Buddha says, Asevana cha balanang panditanan cha sevana puja cha pujaniyanang etang mangala muttamang. Asevana cha balanang. So the word here is when we chant, we see the word balanang, we know that these are foolish people. Bala means foolish, fools. So we say that avoid the foolish. That's what the Buddha says. Don't associate with the foolish. That was the first advice the Buddha gave, and that is the highest blessing. So now, maybe later on when you go back tonight, and you can also contemplate and say, why is associating with these foolish people a curse? If it's not a blessing, it's a curse. Why? You can come to your own conclusion. But how do we define Bala? Let us say, how do we define these foolish people? How to define foolish people? You know, you see, Bala in English is foolish, but in the context of this sutta, it is more than just that foolish people. Foolish people actually. Let me see what I have here. I have done some research for you all. So foolish people here are people who are not reputable, people who don't keep to their words, you know, those kind of people, we say they are also foolish people. Foolish people, okay, maybe I will stress on this part. The foolish people we hear, the Buddha says, we are not talking about people who have less education, you know. Not those people who cannot study or not so clever. Those are not foolish people, you know. So when we say foolish people, we have got 4 kinds of fools. we will say that fools who are actually deranged mind, we say lah, itu kepala otak tak ada betul lah. Kalau kita punya bahasa, kita cakap kepala otak dia tak ada betul lah. Okay, that's another foolish people lah. No orang gila, tahu kau orang gila is not foolish lah. Orang gila tu dipinap. That one is a sickness lah, psychological sickness. But orang yang kepala tak ada betul itu. Okay, atau the person is lack of character lah. I'm sure you understand. These are the English way of saying foolish people lah. Not so knowledgeable on civil things lah. Has an evil mind. Okay, so that is foolish people. Okay, but for us, as I said, the word bala in the Buddhist context go beyond this. We will say that people who do not believe or adhere or to the 5 precepts, these are foolish people. Why? People who likes to kill, they are foolish people. Don't go near them. The Buddha says, correct. If you don't make friends with such people, you are very safe. That is a great blessing. You make friends with such people who like to kill, that is bad. Because killing is what? Expressing your anger sometimes. Sometimes killing is just that you let go your anger. Every time you kill something, it's out of anger. Killing is actually basically all from out of anger, so there's no good, So the Buddha says you refrain, you keep away from these people who doesn't practice the 5 precepts. People who kill, people who steal, people who use vulgar words, who tell lies, people who have practiced a lot of sexual misconduct, people who tell a lot of lies, and people who drink and get mabuk. So these kind of people, from the Buddhist context, keep away. You keep away, and I'm sure this is universal. You understand. So now, that is the doctrinal part of foolish people. So for us, fools are 2 kinds. So from the Buddhist context, we say are people who does not believe, who practice in the 5 precepts. I just said that. People who does not believe in the law of karma. People think that do bad also never mind lah, these are also foolish people. They can be very learned, learned people can be fools, because they are learned, but they don't practice, they don't understand. They don't believe in the law of karma, correct? So then they are also fools. People who doesn't believe in law of impermanence, they are also fools. Law of karma, they'll be abusing things. They think that there's no tomorrow, but they do what they want to do today. They misbehave themselves. They don't care. People who doesn't believe in law of impermanence are people who are very attached to the things. People become too attached. So they are the people who doesn't believe in impermanence. This is from a doctrinal point of view. And people who believe in self, they think that this is their self, this is them, and they cling to self, and these are also fools. So there are so fools. I think there are many categories of fools. We will probably need we can talk a lot of fools. We can talk a lot about fools actually in an hour. We can finish that in an hour at least, But today we'll cut short. But so we will say that. So that's why the Buddha says that the first thing is to avoid from fools. Fools are the people, like we say, people who are lack of character. Not people who they cannot study, they're not fools. I will demonstrate to you in a short while. Not people who can study very well, they are clever people. No, they can also be fools. Now let us, so we will demonstrate to you this. I think many of you all here, I think this crowd, you all have attended the meditation session by Ajahn Go, is it Prago, you call him, Ajahn Go. Recently, he was also commenting on Chula Pantaka. Chula Pantaka was a very slow learner, remember? Slow learner are not fools, Chula Pantaka was a very slow learner. He became a monk. He and his brother became a monk. Became monks. But the brother could progress very well, the brother could study, memorize the suttas, he knows all by heart, very fast. But this Chula Pantaka, tak boleh, what to do? Dia satu patah pun tak boleh ingat, what to do? I heard satu patah pun tak boleh. So he became a bit frustrated also lah. You know, and his brother became more frustrated. So one day they were invited for a big dana, and the Buddha says, okay, we all go for dana, 500 people go, but over there the Buddha saw there's only 499 people. So the Buddha says, one is short. Don't serve the dana yet. One monk is still short. Ask them who. So they say, oh, Chudo Pantaka didn't come. He said, why? Because he's very slow. So the brother said, he don't come. Lucky the Buddha knew earlier. Okay? The Buddha, before coming, the Buddha met him and knew that he was very frustrated, that he wanted to actually disrobe him. Because his brother told him, you cannot become a monk. You're so slow, you cannot even memorize a single word. What monk you want to be? So you're very disappointed. The Buddha said, no, you don't. The Buddha gave him just one piece of cloth. One white piece of cloth and told him, you wipe your face. Continue to wipe your face, wipe your face, wipe your face, wipe your face, that's all. Okay? Eventually he realized that that white cloth that he wiped his face with all the time became dirty, you know. Right? The white piece of cloth became black, you know, became dirty, dark brown. So he realized that actually this is the law of impermanence. He realized that, hey, white can become black. Right? Then that itself clicked him and he became an arahant. Huh? So you don't need to have all the sutras behind you to back you to become arahant. No need. It's just the wisdom to understand impermanence. That's why just now I told you earlier. Remember, in the Mangala Sutta, the Buddha says, if you can spend a moment on the perception of impermanence, it is the greatest blessing. It is more meritorious than even giving dana to the Buddha, you know. Buddha with entourage of all the monks, Anathapindika story. This is the first review now. Betul tak? So now we will know that actually you do not need to be a scholar to be wise lah. So some people, they are simple, they cannot study, but they are wise people. Then fools are not this kind of people. So the Buddha says you avoid from fools means avoid from people who have deranged mind, people who are lack of character, people who are not civic minded, people with an evil mind. Okay? So from our context, we say people who don't observe the 5 precepts, people who does not believe in the law of karma, people who does not believe in the 3 universal truths, and that is from the Buddhist context. Because the word bala adds all this up, more than just people, the 4 kinds of fools. So now, then the Buddha says you associate with the wise. If we start at 8:30, we finish around 9:30, isn't it? So, okay. So, okay, we just covered this part. Okay, so now the Buddha says you avoid the foolish people, you associate with the wise. And who are the wise people? People, the opposite of fools lah. People who are truthful and gentlemen, you know. People who is aware of shame, you know. People who knows what is shameful and what is not shameful. Fools are people who does not know what is shameful and what is not shameful. So the wise people are people who are aware of shame. People who knows what is right and what is wrong. And these are the wise people. People who are modest, very humble people. They don't belittle other people. And these are the wise people, the Buddha says. People who knows and believe in the cause and effect. That means they believe in karma. I told you people doesn't believe in karma earlier. They don't believe in law of karma. But these are the people who believe in law of karma. They know that they do good begets good, bad begets bad. So these are the people the Buddha says you associate with. And then also, you know, the people who practices the 5 precepts. People who are charitable and the people who do dana like Anathapindika. People who will not get you into trouble. Okay, now you can visit all the other kind of good people. But from the Buddhist context, we say from the Buddhist context is people who actually practice the 5 precepts. People who believe in the law of karma. These are the wise people from the Buddhist point of view of the wise people. And they are known as Pandita. So when we recite, we hear Bala, we hear Pandita, then we know that this is talking about we avoid, don't associate with the fools and associate with the wise. Okay? And then to honor those worthy of honor. Okay? For me, this is verse number 1 now, but sometimes people's book, they say it's verse number 2 lah. So this is the first, the Buddha's advice is, the first stanza of advice has got 3 advices. And the Buddha says, avoid from the fools, associate with the wise. And the Buddha says, you honor those worthy of honor. That is important. And that is highest blessings. 3 highest blessings we learned tonight. Honor those worthy of honor. Who are the ones who are worthy of honor? Our parents lah. Number 1 is our parents. Right? We must respect our parents. And that is highest blessings, you know. One of the highest blessings, the 38th highest blessing. Avoid fools, make friends with the wise, and honor those worthy of honor. Who are worthy of honor? Number 1, our parents. Who are our first bodhisattva in our life. That one we must jaga kuat-kuat. Okay? So we must honor our parents. And then we must honor the Buddha, honor the Dhamma, and honor the Sangha. And that is again from the Buddhist point of view. You see, we sometimes put in universal values and also the Buddhist values. Okay? So honor those, our parents are definitely a universal value. Correct? Nobody can deny you. You must, in fact, every religion asks you to honor your parents. I'm not aware of any religion that says you don't honor your parents. I think that is universal value, universal truth. So we must honor, and also we must respect and honor your spouse. The man must respect the wife must respect the man, the husband. So this is another advice given by the Buddha, and also we must honor our teachers. And all these suttas and all these values are very important, you know. Why I chose Mangala Sutta, I told you, is because to concentrate on the ethics, the Buddhist ethics. Now, there are many suttas that cover this. We won't have time to elaborate on this. There are many suttas, Sigalovada Sutta, Diga Janu Sutta. There are many suttas that deal in our daily lives. The Buddha teaches us to honor those worthy of honor and not to make friends with fools. This is repeated not only in the Mangala Sutta. It is repeated in the Sigalovada Sutta. It is repeated in the Diga Janu Sutta. Okay, and many other suttas which I can tell you offhand. So this is a very important ethics. This is a very important Buddhist ethic. So we must practice the Buddhist ethics in order for us to be a very good and strong pillar of Buddhism. Okay, and that is very important. I cannot accept questions tonight because time is short, but I suggest if there's any question, you post it and then we can look into it. And the next week when I meet you, we can try to attend to some questions. I think from now on, we will not be too slow because the story of Ananda Pindika was very long. I want to connect this later for you. As we proceed, we will realize that the story has a lot of lessons. That very illustrious person. So with that, I think I've taken 3 minutes extra of your time.
Thank you, Didi Leng Huat, for the very interesting sharing. I hope I can use the towel and wipe my face, whether I can become Arahant.
Yeah. That was done by Chula Pantaka.
Okay, just a gentle reminder for tomorrow. Do join us at 8:30. The Zoom room will open at 8:15. Pra Adibalo, also known as Prago, will be with us again to teach us on guided. Will share with us the guided meditation. With this, can Didi Leng Huat share the merit? I share the slide for you.
Okay, before we end, let us just compose ourselves. We have. Okay, and we shall now recite together sharing of merits. Look at the screen. So whatever merits you have accrued, we dedicate to all the gods and devas that are actually watching us and looking after our welfare. Who's looking after our welfare, our family's welfare. So we dedicate these merits to them, and hopefully that they can rejoice in these merits. And we also hope that one day they can also be liberated and reach Nibbana also. So let's recite together. And also after that, I think we will share to our loved ones who have passed away, wherever they are. May they too receive these merits. And may they too rejoice in these merits. However, if they're reborn in an unfortunate state of existence, may these merits reach them and help them in their spiritual well-being. and also maybe be blessed with company of the good and the wise always. Maybe dedicate some time to learning the Dhamma, which is a virtue, which is the quality of a wise man. Thank you. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us recite together. Akasata Chabummata Deva Naga Mahidika Punyantang Anumoditwa Chirang Rakhantu Lokasasanang Ettavata Cha Ammehi Sampadang Punya Sampadang Sabbe Deva Sabbe Bhuta Sabbe Satta Anumodantu Sappa Sampati Sitya Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu. Yava Nibbana Patiya Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu. Yeah, see you next week.
See you tomorrow, dear Leng Huat.
Yep.
Okay, good night. Have a good rest.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
So I'll see you next week lah. See you all again next week.